In northern Chile, the Atacama Desert is so dry it hasn't seen rain in centuries. The landscape is so lifeless that NASA uses it as a testing ground for its Mars rovers. But if you look closely at this desolate sand, you'll find something completely out of place: mountains of discarded clothes. Thousands of tons of fabric, piled high in an environment practically devoid of life. The global supply of clothing has reached such massive proportions that right now there are enough garments in existence to dress the next 6 human generations. Every year, the industry churns out over 100 billion garments, yet on average, a piece of clothing is worn only 7 to 10 times before it is thrown in the trash. We didn't suddenly evolve a biological need to discard our clothes every few weeks. This extreme cycle of mass production and instant disposal is a highly engineered system. The traditional fashion industry operated on 2 distinct seasons, summer and winter. Then, Amancio Ortega introduced a different model with Zara. Instead of twice a year, new collections hit stores every single week, creating 52 distinct micro-seasons designed to manufacture a constant sense of urgency. Today, companies like Shein have accelerated this into ultra-fast fashion. They use software algorithms to scrape millions of images and search trends, allowing them to mass-produce and launch up to 10,000 new styles every single day. The blueprint for this behavior dates back to a 1932 advertising concept called artificial obsolescence. The goal is simple: convince consumers that a perfectly functional item is outdated and socially unacceptable, long before it actually wears out. Modern platforms have weaponized this concept. Finding a cheap, trendy item online triggers a release of dopamine in the brain, the exact same chemical mechanism that drives gambling and drug addiction. You're hit with the fear of missing out on a fleeting microtrend. The industry pours money into haul videos, sending free boxes of clothes to influencers. Through these thousands of posts, overconsumption is glamorized, and wearing the same outfit twice is artificially stigmatized as a source of shame. This meticulously calibrated addiction loop prioritizes corporate profits by conditioning the public to shop as a primary source of emotional fulfillment. Feeding this addiction extracts a devastating physical toll, starting with the extreme volume of resources required for natural fibers like cotton. Producing a single cotton t-shirt consumes 2,700 liters of water. That is enough to fulfill a person's drinking water needs for 2.5 years. To see the end game of that consumption, look at Central Asia. The Aral Sea was once the world's 4th largest lake, teeming with fish. Today, it is a carcinogenic desert. Almost all of its water was systematically diverted to feed massive cotton farms. Further down the supply chain, the manufacturing process poisons the water that remains. Factories dump millions of liters of untreated textile dyes directly into local waterways, turning rivers completely pink or red and leaving the surrounding land barren. The fashion industry's insatiable thirst for cheap materials is erasing massive natural bodies of water from the map and poisoning whatever supply is left behind. The industry sources 60% of current clothing from fossil fuel-derived plastics like polyester, nylon, and acrylic. Every time you run these synthetic garments through a washing machine, the friction releases millions of microscopic plastic fibers. These microplastics are so small, they easily bypass standard water treatment plants and flow directly into our rivers and oceans. This animated chart visualizes the true scale of that microscopic shedding. Annually, the sheer volume of microplastics washing into the ocean equals the weight of 3 billion entire polyester shirts. These plastics don't just stay in the ocean. Scientists are now documenting these synthetic fibers inside human lung tissue, in blood and livers, and placentas of unborn babies. Zooming out from the microscopic level, the macro impact is just as severe. The fashion industry alone is responsible for up to 10% of all global carbon emissions. That is more pollution than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. These synthetic fibers permanently contaminate our internal biology and the global atmosphere, leaving a footprint that far exceeds the physical destruction of distant landscapes. When we throw clothes away, they don't simply vanish. Every single year, the world generates over 92 million tons of textile waste, roughly equal to dumping a full garbage truck every single second. Many of these discarded garments are shipped off to poorer nations under the guise of donations. In Ghana's capital, the Kantamanto market receives 15 million articles of secondhand clothing a week. The massive volume completely overwhelms local infrastructure. Around 40% of this imported clothing is such poor quality that it is completely unwearable. It ends up dumped on the shores of Accra, packing together to form massive solid cliffs made entirely of non-biodegradable synthetic fabric. Because these plastics take centuries to break down, the overflow is frequently set on fire, releasing highly toxic smoke into vulnerable communities. Boxing up your fast fashion purchases for donation rarely helps those in need. It functions primarily to export our engineered waste crisis to the most fragile environments on Earth. The response to this crisis is finally taking shape at a systemic level. France has passed the world's first penalty tax on fast fashion items, and by 2027, the European Union will mandate digital product passports, requiring total supply chain transparency for every single garment sold. This tier list breaks down our clothing choices. Flashing red in Tier C are toxic plastics, polyester, nylon, acrylic. Moving to green tiers, Tier A includes organic cotton without toxic pesticides. At the top, Tier S features sustainable hemp and recycled fibers, requiring no water. Beyond material choices, the most effective action is behavioral. Apply the 30 wear test to any new purchase. If you won't wear it 30 times, leave it on the rack. Learn to repair minor tears, and ignore the stigma against wearing the same outfit twice. The algorithmic engine of fast fashion requires massive scale and our own engineered insecurities to function. By rejecting disposable microtrends and changing how we view our clothing, we starve their system of the demand it needs to survive.